Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for another Chelsea reaction, live review, player ratings, all sorts of things, live stream as Chelsea managed to qualify to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup by beating Southampton 4-3 on penalties after it ended 1-1 after 90 minutes. Of course, no extra time in the Carabao Cup, thankfully, because that would make the whole thing even worse than it already is. But, I mean, in hindsight, brilliant, of course. Was the performance great? No. But will I say it was quite an entertaining game? I will say so. And also, credit where credit's due. We'll get to our own players. And we weren't great, but I will say credit where credit's due. I thought Southampton were pretty good. Especially playing with a B-string team or whatever you want to call it. Sure, in terms of in front of a goal, they weren't great. But in terms of how they stopped us doing what we want to do, fair play in a way. Fair play in a way. But Mr. Kepa Arrizabalaga steps up again in penalty shootouts. This time he only saved one. To be honest, I'm not even 1,000% sure if he actually saved it or if he hit the post. We'll see what the consensus is. But, give him his credit because he should have done better for the goal we conceded. But it was also a bit unlucky. But that's kind of just the kind of unlucky that Kepa just is and Mendy just isn't. It seems like one of those, in my opinion. But after that, and even before that once or twice, kind of kept us in the game single-handedly, like a few brilliant saves. Fair play to him. Fair play to him. In the end, winning us on penalties as well, before obviously Reece James, fully won it, if that makes sense. But, Theo Walcott missed, which was fun. Arsenal reject was, across Stamford Bridge. I enjoyed that very much. But before we get into that, I do quickly also want to talk about the Rudiger contract situation because that's kind of pissed me off today. So we'll get into that. But we are, of course, joined by two very special guests. Mr. CFC Pies, who is struggling a little bit today with his voice, with his throat. So I appreciate you coming on. But how are you feeling after that game? More annoyed about the performance and that it wasn't easier, or just happy that we got through?
I mean, since we got to penalties, I'm more happy that we got through. I would have been annoyed if we got knocked out. I can't lie, because I really didn't think we played that well. I mean, we played okay in patches. We had a lot of shots. Sol could have scored about 3. But to be fair, I mean, if there's one takeaway, it's probably Southampton's goalkeeper. Forster was really good, to be fair. Being 7 foot shouldn't really be allowed when you're a goalie, to be honest. He's even taller than Mendy, so he was getting to everything and saved one from Mount in the penalty shootout. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy we got through. But yeah, apologies in advance if I randomly cough or sputter because I have got tonsillitis, so not the greatest thing. But yeah, we're back on for another player ratings, which should be good.
Exactly. Hey, I'm looking forward to it, bro. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I can only agree with what you said. I mean, Forster was good. Sure. Should have some of these shots have just been better. Definitely. Was Kepa also good? Yes. That's why I say it was quite an entertaining game. There was just quite a lot of shots on both ends. Sure, it only ended 1-1, but hey, especially because we came out as the winning side in the end, you can look at it as an entertaining game. Had we lost, we would probably sit here more frustrated about our own performance than anything else. But Clutch, as always, thank you for joining us, of course. But do you echo the same sentiment as Pice, or do you have different views now that we just finished the game?
Always a pleasure, Laurenz. I'd agree mostly with Pius. I mean, for me, I guess if you looked who we were putting out there today, especially with Barkley and all that, and then we were able to still go out and get a result, I think it was a really fun game. Like you said, I mean, Kepa, I'm not going to blame Kepa too much for that goal, but at the same time, I think that's just us remembering old Kepa and kind of getting flashbacks of it. But for the most part, I've enjoyed it, and I'm glad we went through. I always love penalty shootouts. They're really fun for me.
Hey, who doesn't, mate? Who doesn't? I mean, obviously, in hindsight, when you lose, you think after, well, that was awful. But when you win, you're like, well, that was great. Especially when you have Kepa in goal. You're kind of, when Kepa is in goal, I'm kind of relaxed whenever we face a penalty. I'm like, probably find a way to save it. As much as when we play, normal games, there is still a little bit of, anxiety when Kepa is in goal, I suppose, even though, like I said, like Clutch said there, not fully to blame for the goal. We'll get to it, obviously. Some people will blame him more, some people will blame him less. But still, he has certainly more confidence than he certainly had under the end of Frank Lampard's era. But like I touched on, I quickly do want to talk about the Antonio Rudiger situation. Now, the report this morning came from The Athletic, from no less than Simon Johnson, who, of course, myself and Pice interviewed on this channel a few months ago. And he basically said that Chelsea made Antonio Rudiger a £140,000 per week offer and feel like that's a good offer. But Antonio Rudiger obviously disagrees. Now, not sure where that voice crack came from, but ignore that. Now, I am all sorts of confused, I don't understand what Chelsea's trying to do, really, because if I was Rudiger and they offered me 140k, when I know that Werner is on well over 200, when I know that Havertz is on well over 200, when I know that Kepa is on 120, when I know that Saul is on nearly 200, I'm not sure if we pay all of that, but still, he's on nearly 200. When I know that Danny Drinkwater, or by being at Reading, is on 100k a week, and they offer me 140, I would probably slap the contract back into their faces. Like, that is so disrespectful. It's actually ridiculous. Like, sure, if he asked 300k, 400k, yeah, don't give him that, fair enough. But 140,000, I know this, we're talking crazy numbers. And obviously, we're talking in footballing terms. If someone wants to give me 140 grand, hey, you don't even need to give it to me every week. Just give it to me once. It's fine. But in comparison to what they do and how much revenue the club makes and how much of a big impact he had in us making some of this revenue in terms of winning the Champions League, to be offered £140,000 is nothing short of disrespectful and ridiculous. Obviously, this could all be negotiation tactics, and we will offer him more in the end. It's just like, okay, we won't offer you more, make sure you don't turn us down or don't ask for too much. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't like the tactics. Like, if it works out, fair enough. And we don't even know if the reports are true of the 140,000. As much as it's Athletic, I'm like, it's just so outrageous to me that I kind of want to believe it's not true, because it just can't be true in my head. But yeah, it's annoying me. Obviously, Christensen, we spoke about yesterday. Especially when you like Koundé. Yeah, I like Koundé, but we have to sign him for a transfer fee and pay him money. And it won't be much less than 140k. Do you know what I mean? If not more. Let's be honest. De Ligt is on £280,000. That's 330,000 euros plus bonuses. If we, in theory, would sign him from Juventus, the chance of him taking a pay cut, in my opinion, are fairly slim. So I don't understand what Chelsea are thinking to, we'll play, do some penny pinching with Rudiger. And like, people say, we can't afford it. I'm like, of course crap can we not afford it? We can't afford whatever the flip we want. We're bloody Chelsea Football Club. Like, who do you think we are? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not quite Newcastle, but, we actually win things. Like, we have so much money available in all sorts. I'm just honestly baffled. I just had to quickly get this out there because it really triggered me this morning. And, I totally understand Rudiger. If he doesn't want to sign a contract, that's 140,000 euros. If we never improve that, I'm like, yes, you should leave. You shouldn't stay. That's outrageous, in my opinion. That's outrageous. Quickly, Pice, Clutch, if you have anything to add before we get into tonight's game, please do. But I just had to vent for a second. Let me go with you first, Clutch. Why don't we?
I agree with everything you said, especially like yesterday when you were also mentioning that you have to pay the transfer fees of these players and what they're on currently. Like if you were to go get a Koundé or a De Ligt, I think it's incredibly disrespectful to Rudiger, who has been our best center back for the last year and a half since Lampard left. And I don't think if depends on how much he's asking, but if he's asking for 200,000, I don't understand why that's like a problem right now. I really don't. I get that his age might come into it, but at the same time, you're offering him 60k less for the guy who's literally been one of the best defenders in the league, if not the best defender in the league. It's just it's outrageous.
No, honestly, and obviously we don't know how much he's actually asking. That could be just as much different to reports than, for example, this report now. But even if he's asking 250k, I'm like, you're not asking anything outrageous compared to what other people are earning. Like, obviously the numbers are always a bit skewed because, Fabrizio Romano said Lukaku earns 12 million a year, which is 230,000. But other things say he's on like 300-something thousand. So are we just mixing pre-tax and after-tax numbers? Or because some of this is very weird. But Pice, anything you want to add to this, or shall we just get to the Southampton game?
I mean, no, I've got a lot to say, to be fair, but I'll try and keep it short. I mean, it's just, I do agree, and I'll probably be more vocal when he actually is close to leaving, because contract negotiations and stuff, like, this article has definitely worried me, because when Simon Johnson comes out with, one source says this, sources have told the Athletic this, I 100% believe it, because it was the Athletic are just tier one. Them and Matt Law, for me, 100%. Even Nazar came out and said Christensen hadn't spoken to Chelsea in 2 months. That was then backed up in this Athletic article. So these
But then again, because you said about tier one, how long is it ago that Matt Law said it's everything but done? So then when tier one sources kind of contradict each other, who do you believe?
No, but in the article, Simon said the reason why Matt Law was basically saying it's basically done because the terms are agreed. It was like small details, but he was saying actually the small details aren't like not important because they haven't spoken for 2 months. But then it said in terms of Christensen, further talks will be held before 2022, and like I personally believe Christensen will stay and Rudiger will go, just because I think Christensen's more likely to eventually accept an offer than Rudiger. Whereas all we've heard from Rudiger is, like, as it said in the article, them and Chelsea are not lowering their demands. Rudiger wants 200. Chelsea have offered 140 and don't have any plans to increase it. Like, even if they increase it to 160, 170, I don't believe Rudiger's going to accept it, because if you're if you're thinking from his perspective, it's his last big contract and his age. Like, he can get 200, 250k at Bayern, at Real Madrid. Like, as much as he loves Chelsea, like, these are footballers' lives at the end of the day, and everyone will want to chase the bag. Like, I believe Rudiger will leave personally. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they both stay. But honestly, I just think the offer from Chelsea is ridiculous. Like you said, 140,000 is not anywhere near the amount that he deserves. 180 to 200k would be fully deserved.
Personally, I think him demanding 200k as the start of the negotiation, I think he's being he's gone quite low with that. You know how negotiations, I'd expect him to ask for 220, 240, 250, and then end up on around 200.
Yeah, the only argument,
100, I think it's been nice anyway.
The only argument that I did hear, I saw CFC Daily on Twitter, but basically say, well, we don't have a habit of managers staying long term, and Rudiger in a back four has made so many mistakes, so maybe that's where the club are coming from, saying, why would you give him 200k if we eventually sack Tuchel and then he's not in our plans anymore? Because that's what happened before Tuchel. So I don't know if they're thinking like that, but at the same time, we've got Tuchel here. You can't think of. If you're thinking that way, then, that's just stupid. So as long as Tuchel's here, he deserves a new contract, he's an integral part. And the one thing I mentioned as well, people were like, oh, you're just spouting, bullshit, you're overreacting. I said, if Rudiger leaves, this will really piss off Tuchel. Could be one of the starts to, board anger and fighting and stuff like that, because you see the quotes on Rudiger from Tuchel. He absolutely loves this guy. He's an essential leader in the team, an essential cog. He plays every single game. So if he leaves, I personally don't think Tuchel will be very happy. And people are like, oh, shut up, we'll just replace him. I'm like, it's not like that. You can replace players, but some managers have deep attachments to these players. And I think Rudiger's one of them. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the back four argument is an argument. Some people in the chat agree with you there as well. It is an argument to be made, but is it any likelier of Rudiger not working in a back four under a different manager, if Tuchel changed to a back four, than it is when we sign someone that's never played in the Premier League, let alone for us? Sure, they haven't played badly in a back four for us. Yeah, they haven't played for us, full stop. How is that any better? I honestly don't understand. It has zero logic to me. It has honestly zero logic to me. I mean, CFC Florida, hey, first of all, I appreciate the donation a lot. Saying, I do not believe the dollar amounts or money amounts being thrown around. I mean, I hope so. I hope kind of our offer is 170. And, we'll just go up to one, either 200 or we'll meet at 190 or something. Do you know what I mean? But even then, Ben Chilwell is on 190. And I love Ben Chilwell and he's great form. But the fact that we're not even offering him, we're offering him 50k less than Ben Chilwell is on. What? Rudiger is 29. He's literally in his prime. He's literally, if not Europe's best defender, one of the top 3 defenders in Europe. And as you know how football works, that means you're one of the top 3 defenders in the bloody world. How many top 3 players in their position in the world do you have on your wage structure for less than 200k? Are you taking the piss? Pisses me off. But let's get to more positive news. What can I see here? Okay. I will read that out in just a second. Thank you, Clutch. But yeah, let's move on to tonight's game. Again, CFC Florida, appreciate it a lot, the donation. If any of you guys haven't subscribed already, we're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. So get subscribed right now. It's just one click of that big red button. It really helps out a lot and means a lot. So please do that. Smash the like button for me as well. Let's get to at least 100 likes right now. Go down below, smash the like button. Doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. So you might as well. Let me just get the share screen on so we can get through our player ratings and obviously discuss the lineup. And prepared as I am, already wrote it down beforehand rather than writing it down now. So aren't I brilliant? before we get into individual ratings, what did you make of the lineup in the first place? And let me just say, and I know, Pice, you agree with this because you literally said it on Twitter yourself. I saw your tweet before the game. People obviously already having a go again at Tuchel for Tuchel starting right wing back. And now let me just explain two things to you. Azpilicueta injured his shoulder. Don't know when, don't know how, don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that's what happened. Right. So, and also, Thiago Silva is 37 years old, played the last 2 games, so he probably needed a rest. Christensen had some problem with teeth, had surgery, so probably had a wisdom tooth removed, I presume, but I don't know. But anyway, was unavailable too. So you had to play Reece James at centre-back unless you wanted to play either Rudiger or the 37-year-old Thiago Silva. So with Azpilicueta then not being available, you have to play out to the right wing-back because who else are you going to put there? I mean, I know we put Chilwell there in the end, but you know what I mean? Like, so stop having a go at that. But anyway, getting back to the lineup, let me get to you, Clutch. Actually, let me read out what you put in the private chat here, just for people if they maybe didn't see it pre-game. Azpilicueta, Christensen, and Loftus-Cheek would all have started tonight, but shoulder for Azpilicueta, shoulder injury, teeth surgery, collision in training, actually, not wisdom tooth for Christensen, and the thigh, respectively. Our thigh issue for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which he apparently picked up against Norwich, although I don't know if it is a thigh muscle or is it a knock? I don't know. Ruled them out. Loftus-Cheek is thought to be the most serious of the 3. Oh, my days. I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. Why, Ruben? Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I'm sad now. I am sad now, but Clutch, what did you make of the lineup when you saw it?
I had a mini heart attack, to be honest. I mean, anytime you see in 2021 Ross Barkley starting a game for Chelsea, it's just like, how bad does it have to be that how many players are out that Ross Barkley is going to be starting? And I completely agree with the Cho thing. And I keep seeing on Twitter that like, oh, Tuchel hates him. And it's like, I don't think Tuchel hates him at all. I think Cho is one of the more versatile players that we have. He can play very many positions. And unfortunately for him, he's shown that he's been able to play at this right wing back position and he can play it well. So for him, unfortunately, if Aspie has to be out and Reece has to go into the back 3, he's going to play that position every time. It's just the unfortunate circumstances of injuries.
Which, by the way, is why we didn't loan him out to Dortmund. Because imagine if we loaned him out to Dortmund, who would have played there today then? Think about it. Because people had a go at Tuchel and Chelsea not letting that loan happen because it hinders his development. I'm like, yeah, it's true, it does. But unless we got a different right wing back instead, it was just not possible to let him go.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he did really well. I mean, but that's just, I mean, it was pretty much more of what I thought I would see. I thought it would have been Ruben and not Kovacic, but Ruben picking up an injury, unfortunately. We get Kovacic in there. The biggest shock is still Barkley, though. That just, I can't do that.
I mean, you weren't on the preview yesterday, but I said to the boys, I think Barkley starts. They wouldn't let me have him in our team that we went with because, democracy, but I was pretty sure Barkley would start. And here we are. Obviously, maybe he wouldn't have had we not had those few injuries. You never know. Could have been the case because then maybe Hudson-Odoi would have been able to play up front if Aspie played wing back. Sure. But I had a feeling Barkley would start, and so he did. But yeah, to be honest, in general, other than that, now that I find out it's believed to be the most serious about Ruben, now I'm just very sad. But in general, that was kind of my thoughts on lineup as well. Pice, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, what can I really say? It's a typical cup game lineup. I expected pretty much this team, especially the back 3, apart from James, to be fair. I thought, obviously I didn't realise Aspie was going to be injured, but I mean, I can't really argue with it. Like you said, who else is going to play right wing back? I thought Hudson-Odoi actually played pretty well. Defensive duties were actually really good. He didn't get caught out quite much, but he was solid. He was decent going forward. Should have. The one thing that annoyed me though, he had a chance late on. He hit the side netting. Oh man, he could have done so much better from that. Like,
that pass to Barkley, if he just slightly less power on it, guaranteed goal for Barkley.
Yeah, but you don't know how many times I've seen Cho in that position, drill it across into the left-hand corner. I don't know why he didn't do that, but anyway, the front 3, obviously Barkley, Ziyech, Havertz, not really great. Ziyech again was just poor. I don't know what's up with this guy. Midfield. Pretty predictable, to be fair. Thought Kepa was going to start. Obviously at fault for the goal, but redeemed himself in the end. Made a couple of good saves late on. So, yeah, no real complaints for me. There's not really anyone that I would have gone, oh, I wouldn't have had him playing because,
Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah, realism and logic means that this lineup was probably going to happen.
Yeah, especially if Ruben wasn't available. Obviously, I would have preferred not to play any of Kovar, Jorginho, or Kanze. Kanze, by the way, also wasn't available yet. But yeah, I'd agree. Pice, I put it to you. Shall we start with the ratings at the front, or shall we start at the back?
At the front, I think.
Let's start at the front. I would personally agree, because just to change it up, why not, ladies and gentlemen? Let's start with the goal scorer of today, Mr. Kai Havertz. Interesting game from him today, because he scored, had more shots than I think he's probably ever had for us in a game. Scored from a header again, like he did, against Liverpool, even though different position in the box. But there was still moments I'm like, oh, Kai, come on. Like, I can't remember who played him through, whether it was Ziyech or Koba or some of them, or one of them. And once he didn't control the ball at all from his Ziyech pass, he went out for a throw-in when he could have been through a goal with his pace. And the biggest chance, where he literally would have been one-on-one with the goalkeeper, he had such a heavy touch that it fell straight into the goalkeeper's arms. I'm like, so you scored and you were good and better than you have been recently, and more confident in shooting and doing this and doing that, great. But in those one-edge moments where you just need to get your control right, you just messed the control up, and that's frustrating. But I suppose in the end, he was probably still our only acceptable or good attacking player. I don't know, probably, I just started off, I'd probably give him, 7.5 maybe, something like that. I could be swayed maybe to an 8 for the goal, and maybe I'm just being a bit harsh on the touches because he did good things, but the touches just did frustrate me. So, Pice, because you decided we're going to start at the front, I'll go to you next. Do you agree? Do you think it was worse than I did? What do you reckon?
7 from me, 6 without the goal. Didn't think he played that well, to be honest.
Okay.
I do feel a little bit bad for him because, Barkley and Ziyech isn't much to work with. But at the same time, apart from the shot he had, which was nearly a screamer, I don't know. I just didn't really think... I didn't really think he was at his best. The thing is with me, I have such high standards for Havertz because I know how good he can be. So it's like when he was, I just think this was an average performance. So I think I'll give him a 7, to be honest.
Fair. Chester said it was man of the match for him. Flyer said he'd go with an 8. Melly says should go with a 7. So 7. Like I said, I would have gone 7.5. Let's see what Clutch thinks. What did you make of Kai tonight?
I thought he was really good. Like Pi said, the people around him didn't do anything. Zero production. So for him, he was basically working on an island. He was shooting. He had a weak foot shot that, for whatever reason, our players do not take weak foot shots. That almost was an absolute worldie of a goal.
If he can do it like that,
yeah,
why
and
don't
it's
you
like
do this more?
His dribbling today. I agree with you that he had a couple rough first touches, but his dribbling today was a lot better than we've seen in a very long time from him. If anybody was going to score today, it was going to be him or Saul. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think he did brilliant. For me, it would be an 8 or an 8.5. I'd probably lean more towards an 8. But I would tend to agree more with Jester on the man of the match because it would be between 2 or 3 people for me, but I'd probably go for Kai.
Fair dues. We'll get to a man of the match in the end. We'll see what ratings we hand out. But hey, if you said 8, Pice said 7, I said 7.5, 7.5, I suppose it is. Let's get to Barkley first. Let's, save the criticism for another 2 minutes. Let's get to Barkley. To be honest, yeah, he wasn't great. But if you compare him to Ziyech, Barkley looked like Messi, I can't lie. So, how harsh can we really be? I don't know. It was all right. Yeah, he should have done a few moments better. Yeah, when he was played in through the left, but the ball was very overhit, by the way, by Kovacic to that left side. I think it was Kova, might have been Kai. Where he could have cut it back to Kai. Yeah, sure, should have done better, but it's Barkley. The man has played 7 months. We gave Ziyech that excuse last year, but now for Barkley, it doesn't count as... I'm not a big fan of Barkley. People know this. But I find the fact that Barkley's playing better than Ziyech and way better, it's just, how harsh can we really be on Barkley? I'd probably give him 5.5, something like that. I don't think it was god awful. I don't think it was great. I think he really tried. I wouldn't even, to be honest, I would be okay even with giving him a 6 because I honestly didn't think it was that bad. But I also understand that people won't necessarily agree with that. But for me, it was just, why not? Why not? It was decent. Tried his thing. And at least, he kept trying and didn't just, throw a hissy fit on the pitch. But Clutch, let me go to you. What did you make of Barkley? I know both of you guys just said, the others did nothing. And they didn't do much. But, how low can we go with Ziyech if we have to give Barkley anything, say, 4 or lower? Do you know what
Yeah, I mean, out of the two, Barkley was the one who did a lot more, and by saying a lot is very marginal. I mean, there was points in the game I forgot he was even on the field. I mean, the only times I noticed him was when we were lining up for a free kick or something. He'd be over there trying to take it, and I'd probably, I mean, there's really not much to say. He had like two good moments, if that, in the whole entire game. Probably a 5.5 or a 6, just for. I mean, he was there. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, 5.56 is, like I said, well, roughly I would have gone as well. Price, what about you? Did you think it was much worse than that?
I mean, I'm torn between a 5.5 and a 6. I did think he was better than Ziyech. Thought he pressed was quite a lot better as well. I just think, these players coming in, like, I was looking for really them to make a point. I didn't really think he did that. Kind of what Clutch said, he's kind of just there, didn't really stand out. So, yeah, between a 5.5 or a 6, to be honest. I didn't really expect much anyway, because, I mean, to be honest, he doesn't even play on the left-hand side. It was a bit of a weird one, but yeah, I don't know. It was a bit of a.
And to be fair, Ollie's not wrong. His corners were decent, especially you saw the corners when Mount came on instead of him. They were god awful.
Yeah, I suppose, but still, it wasn't that. He was just average, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll add some positivity because none of us can really decide between the two. So I just say let's give him that. I'd like to go last on Hakim Ziyech because I'd really like to hear what you boys have to say. So I go with you first, Pice. But what did you make of good old Moroccan Hakim Ziyech?
Shite, to be honest. Just so inconsistent, isn't he? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it with him. Like, he was trying some passes where I was like, you know what? If that came off, we'd be praising him to heavens. There was one where he tried to play Barkley in behind, I think, but it got blocked. And I was like, you know what? On another day, that ends up in a goal, and we're giving him a high rating just for that assist alone. But I mean, yeah, like the donation says, I'm just tired of him. Like, I really am. When he's in the lineup, I'm like, oh, really? You know what I mean? I shouldn't feel that way because Ziyech was one of the ones I was so excited when he joined because when I watched him for Ajax, he took loads of shots. He played loads of nice passes. His dribbling was a lot better than it was here. Like, it's almost like he's afraid to take people on in England.
He didn't even attempt a single dribble today.
It's just weird. Like, I don't know what he does. Like, we're not a spam cross team. Like, Ziyech is really good when we're playing, like, say, a 4-3-3 and he can be on the touchline and he can, like, use his vision more. But when he's more central, like, coming inside, I don't rate him at all. And I
didn't play a single long ball today.
Yeah, like, I don't know if it's a system problem for him, but at the end of the day, you've got to adapt. Like,
it's been long enough now. It's not like we changed the system yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. He's not fit for English football. One of the comments says. I mean, it's hard to disagree because, like, I don't know. See, another comment says his work rate's low. I don't necessarily agree with that because I do think
it kind of switches, doesn't it? Like, he has moments where he's like running after the ball like a madman, but not really with any structure to it.
But that's like the whole thing with him. He's just so inconsistent. Like, and we can't really allow that. That's the problem. Like, with our depth, it'd just be nice to have like a really nice winger on the bench. You know, like an Adama Traore, someone who I wanted in the summer. I think he's brilliant.
Pulisic would help, but
yeah. Like, it's just someone like that, someone who actually gets you off your seat and can actually do something. And could, like, if you see someone like that, Pulisic, Adama in your lineup, even in a depth squad, you're like, damn, like, that's going to be scary. I don't get that feeling with Ziyech, and I never have. So, I mean, overall, I'd probably give him a 4, to be honest. I don't want to give him any higher, like a 4 for me.
To be honest, a 4 is a push. Obviously, we have to say he did get the assist for Kai Havertz's goal. It was his corner. Fair enough. It was a good corner. Yeah, but
the overall doesn't bump anything up for me. Like, it's not like it wasn't even like it's just a corner. Like, you can't. I don't know, man. I don't really bump ratings up for that. Like, it's
yeah. I mean, like, a good corner is important, but like, it's more important to also play well in the game. Like, do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like I said, again, appreciate the donation a lot. CFC Florida, tired of Ziyech. That's what I feel. Like, I see him start at this point. I have no hope. I have no hope that he's going to do anything. I'm sorry. That's honestly how I feel when I see that he's going to start now. But Pice, I need to press you. Oh, you did say 4. My bad. I forgot. Let me go to you, Clutch. Would you agree on a 4? Would you go lower? Would you go higher? Because the chat seems very undecided. I've seen a few 5s. I've seen a couple of 6s even, which is mental. Not seen anything as low as I'm going to go, but we'll see. Off you go, Clutch.
I think your tweet earlier was like the perfect summarization of his performance. Like, he is the most undeserving player of an assist today. Like,
yeah.
And I can't even begin to describe, like, there is times when I see how lazy he is. There was a ball that was played up and he could have went and tried to go for it. And he was like 3 feet from it. Decided he didn't want to do it. Southampton player took it and he just started running with it. He didn't even go after him. He started walking. Yeah. Kai Havertz was... that beyond annoys me beyond anything else. I hate it when everybody does it. And it really annoys me in this game. That is why I'm really getting tired of Ziyech. Like, that's why when people are like, oh, we need him. We don't need him. We really don't. I wanted to leave him in Turin during the Juventus game, and they could have shipped him off to AC Milan. I'm not usually like that with a player. I'm really not. But like today, it would be in between a 3 or 4 for me. He was absolutely terrible. Other than the assist, and even the assist, I really don't even give him credit for because everything else was just terrible. Everything.
Yeah, like for me, I probably would have gone 3. And that includes the assist. I'm not sure what I would have done without the assist, but just 3 is honestly where I would have gone. Like, yes, there was a few moments, like I said, there was the pass to Kai that Kai should have controlled. It's not a bad ball. There was another couple of balls which weren't bad. There was the situation that Pice mentioned where he gets a bit unlucky with the block. But there was also, like in the first half, his first touch of the ball, I think it bounced like 7 meters from him. I honestly would love if any website, any app had stats for how far a touch bounces from the leg. Like, it's insane. Like, Ziyech must have accumulated a whole marathon by now this season. Like, it's mental how he cannot control a single ball of football. Like, baffling to me. And he had like 3 or 4 occasions of doing that very thing again in the first half. Just cannot control a ball. And yeah, every now and again he plays a good pass. But that's pointless. If you can't control it 9 out of the other 12 times, like, what's the point? I don't get it. And I felt bad for him, when he was subbed off. He had to be subbed off. Arguably, he should have been subbed off earlier. But, fair play to him. He didn't, like, proper throw a hissy fit when he came off. He said, like, go on, Mason, or good luck, or whatever he said, when he was replaced by Mason Mount. But still, it just ain't good enough.
You either get this amazing Ziyech or you get this absolute terrible Ziyech. There's no in between.
You say that. When was the last time you had amazing Ziyech?
But that's the point.
You don't around in the Super Cup. Great.
Yeah, you either get one or the other. You don't get in between ever. And that's what also annoys me. It's like if he's not on it, then he's just going to be a waste of a player on the field.
Okay. I mean, you boys said 4. I said 3. So I'm going to go 3.5. Pice just updated us here saying Tuchel hopes all injured players will be back for Newcastle. Brilliant news. I don't have to cry about Ruben. Fantastic. Is anybody hating on my rating of Ziyech? I haven't really seen it yet. So fair enough. Nice. Let's get to the midfielders.
3.5.
Let's get to the midfielders. Why? Let's get to Saul, because I think Saul is going to be an interesting one today. Because I saw someone in the chat earlier say like how bad he was. And yeah, he wasn't great. But I really don't think you can say that he was god awful today. I think we'll need to go back to Barkley and maybe lower that a little bit now that I think about it. But we'll get to that. I think Saul was half decent, to be honest. Like the shot, very narrowly wide. That was a good effort. The shot that would have gone top corner, not quite enough power on it. But also doesn't help that goalkeeper is about 10 foot tall. Obviously makes it easier for him to save. And the 2 headers, the second one was too easy. But the first one was another great save and a good header. He's not that tall. The fact that he got on two corners, fair play to him in the first place. Like, there's not that many players of his height that win all that many headers. Sure, he managed to, find a lot of space on his own, but that's good movement in the box then. So I think he was half decent. There was one really bad misplaced pass. There was also a couple of great passes. One over the top, one to Alonso, I can remember. One pitch ball over to Callum, I can remember. I'd like to give Saul a 6.5. To be honest, I'd like to give him a 7, but I feel like that's too close to Kai. So I'm going to go 6.5. And I would like to lower Barkley to a 5.5. Would you guys be okay with this?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not too bad.
I mean, we were all between 5.5 and 6 anyway, so I don't think you were massively going to disagree. But let me go with you, Pice. Why not? Saul, do you think I'm totally wrong and he was like awful? Or do you kind of see what I mean?
I mean, a lot of the chat are saying like 5.5. I don't think he was that bad. Like, I thought he had a decent game. Like, I don't know. He's not like when we have Kante or Kovacic or Jorginho and Ruben in the pivot. Like, he's not. He doesn't stand out as much as those. But I thought he did pretty well, especially in the aerial duels. I was really noticing that he was doing a lot of aerial duels. The
Yeah,
one from the
and he was
corner
also
as
going
well.
for
Like,
every single one of them. While
yeah, like
like
he put in a
Clutch
good
mentioned
shift.
earlier, Ziyech had the ball drop and was 3 feet off and didn't even bother getting to it.
Yeah, he put in a good shift. I can't lie. Rating will be interesting, but yeah, I mean the shot for the top corner. I mean, if Forster wasn't 7 foot, that's a screamer. Same with the header from the corner. The one which was cut back, he should have scored. I think he should have put that in the corner. That went a bit wide.
Which one?
It was,
Yeah, but it went so it was so close. I feel
yeah,
like
I don't know. I thought he'd
so
score that
close.
just because of the amount of time he had on the ball. Like I
Yeah.
thought he was, it's because he's a technical player as well. I thought, he's going to slot that home, but it went a bit
I
wide.
just say, to be honest, I'm surprised it ever got to the goal because there was so many people between him and the goal. I was surprised it never got deflected. To be totally honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he put in a decent shift. I'll give him a 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, and CFC Florida, again, appreciate the donation a lot. Today gave me hope Seoul may come through for CFC. Clutch. On that note, myself and Pice would have gone 6.5. Do you echo those, or do you echo what CFC Florida said there?
I have him as 6.5. I agree with you guys completely. I mean, there was moments where he was like not that great, but then there was moments where he was going to be one of the only people that was going to create a chance for us, and that is just how it was. I mean, he's what 5'9", 5'10", or something like that, getting free headers in the box. I mean, he did well for being that tall. Probably doesn't do heading that often. So I mean, for me, he was all right. He did a decent job today. I'd go 6.5.
Fair dues. Seems reasonable to me. Let's get to Kovacic. For me, a decent game today. Decent game. A couple of moments where I wish he would have played a better ball. Like, for example, quite late on, we hit on the counter and he slightly overhit it to Callum when he went out of play for a throw-in for Southampton. But he dribbled himself out of a couple of tight situations with Southampton, obviously pressing us quite high. He did well at that. Had a few great tackles, a few great not last ditch, but as in, kind of sliding in from the side, from behind, getting in that, winning the ball back after obviously we lost it on transition and Southampton were threatening. So, but then again, also did any of our midfielders deserve more than, I'm going to go 7. So did any of them deserve more than a 7 with, the most of the chances of being like just shots from distance and none of them coming from Kovacic. So, yeah, I'd probably go 7 just because I think it was maybe a tad better than Saul, just because, he at least gave us some sort of stability in midfield, while Saul was more doing offensive things while maybe struggling a bit more defensively. So, but yeah, that's my take on Kovacic. Clutch, would you agree? 7? Would you go lower? Would you go higher? It's a tough one for me.
I have him as a 7 as well. I mean, there was times where he ran out of the press like he normally does. He only had that one mistake towards the end of the game that was almost costly, but other than that, he was. He was normal Kovacic. So I mean, I would go with the 7. I think he did the work of a Jorginho today by making sure that we were getting out of the press. So I'd go 7.
Yeah, I mean, I do still think we missed either a Ruben or a Jorginho today. Not necessarily instead of cover, but instead of one of Saul and cover. I just feel like we missed that. Someone that's more natural at doing the 6 job, because cover is just too much of an 8 and seems to be less adapting to that. Like, obviously, I've said this before. I was very surprised that Ruben can do this. But Ruben, when he plays it, I'm like, I see, okay, you play a little bit like Jorginho does this. When cover plays it, he plays completely differently. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just thought today we needed a bit more of the way Ruben and Jorginho do it. But not necessarily instead of cover, it would have been fine. Instead of so, it doesn't make a difference. But Pice, what about you? What did you make of cover? Obviously, we know you're a big fan of him, but did you think it was better than we did? Or do you also think it was just a good, decent performance?
The problem I have was Havertz is 7.5. Like, I don't know, like, I get the goal, like, bumps him up a bit, but overall, I think Kovacic was a lot better than Havertz. And I know Clutch would disagree with that. I think he was better on the ball, like, a lot better on the ball. Didn't commit so many fouls. Just thought he was better overall, to be honest.
To be fair, though, Havertz was against whoever I forgot his name, but whoever that number 4 is, that centre back from Southampton.
Oh, yeah.
He was by far Southampton's best player. So, and obviously, Kai was against him. Cover didn't have to deal with that guy because he was amazing.
Yeah, Linkau or something like that. He was actually all right. Yeah, I mean, I would have him as a 7.5, but I think I'll go with a 7 just because Havertz got the goal and it might bump him up a little bit. And if you want to see Kovacic get out the press beautifully, then just go on my profile and watch the video that I've retweeted. Because it's so beautiful, man. Every time he gets the ball, I'm like, I get a little panic attack. I'm like, oh, he's going to lose it. And he just never, ever loses it. He's just...
Him and Ruben, they just have that. They just find a way.
Yeah, Ruben does it as well, but Ruben is more using his strength, whereas Kovacic's feet is just like, how? Like, his dribbling is outrageous.
Kovacic is like a weird FIFA card where he would have like 90 acceleration, but like 70 sprint speed. That's Kovacic.
Bro, I don't know how he does have 99 dribbling on FIFA. Like, I could probably, if I sat down and tried, I could probably make a 5-minute comp of all his escaping the press of Chelsea. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure.
It's actually mad. But
it's so imagine, and again, I'm not trying to criticize him. I'm sure imagine how good it could be if he just that next pass after dribble out of the press was that tiny bit better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have the weekend where he plays that amazing pass to Hudson-Odoi, and then you have today where a couple ones are like, not quite there. But he's improving. Like, he's got 5 assists, so it's pretty mad. He's a lot better. Like, before, like, Sarri season, even Lampard, like, he never used to even try those balls. So I love that he's actually trying to be more progressive now. And one of the comments says actually spot on. Like, he has a lot of responsibility. I don't think people understand that. Like, today, like, I was a bit worried about the pivot, not gonna lie, because I thought it was a bit too attacking, but the way that I thought the balance was quite good. Like, Kova was kind of sitting back at times, and then they'd like take turns. So I thought it actually worked out quite well. And yeah, I thought he was pretty good overall. But I'll stick with a 7 just because Havertz got the goal. But I will state that overall, I definitely think he was better than Havertz, and in the overall game, like 100%.
Fair. I mean, I do see what you mean. Like, especially from what I'm seeing from the chat, we could also give Soul a 7 and Kova a 7.5 with Kai. Be okay. But were we good enough to give out so many 7s and 7.5s? That's what I'm not sure about. Because, well, some of the defenders rated will be worse, but some of them will be better. So I don't really know. Price, how about we do so? Because I do, like, as a lot of people said we were harsh on Soul with 6.5. I do see what they mean. Like I said, I could have been tempted for a 7, but like I said, I was kind of limiting myself because of the Havertz rating. We can give Kova 7.5 and Soul a 7. I do still think Kova was a tad better, even if Soul was more dangerous. Would you like that, or should we leave it like that? Clutch?
We can bump Kova up to 7.5 and bump Saul up.
Pies?
I don't think either of them were terrible.
No, they were clearly not terrible. Pies, would you like that if we did that, or shall we stick to it like it is?
Of course, I'd love that. Put him as an 8 if you want.
That's funny. That is. Let's get to Callum. I mean, obviously, Callum started the game at right wing back, like Pies touched on earlier in the stream. Decent, not exactly like got done defensively all the time. Much better than Alonso, that's for sure. Was I frustrated that he had moments to cross the ball and didn't, or that he had moments where he tried to go on his left foot but then realized, oh shit, I'm not very good with my left foot, and then had to pass backwards? Yes, that frustrated me. But yeah, it did good, good. Then played obviously on the left for obviously after the subs, and Chilwell came on at left wing back. Had one through ball to Barkley, which unfortunately just about overhit, and obviously the chance the Pies mentioned. So I'd probably, for me, Cho is literally a definition of a 6.5. It literally is. Like, just a teeny tiny bit better than average. But maybe that's harsh. Maybe you'd go 7. I just feel like, yes, he had moments where he tried it, but he never worked out to anything. Like, how Saul, like, nearly scored 4 times. I never got even close. Well, once he decided that thing, but worse than pretty much all of Saul's effort, because at least Saul got them all on target. Well, actually, barred the biggest one. But do you see what I mean? Do you agree? Am I harsh? Price, let me go back to you. Why not?
For Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, his end product wasn't the greatest tonight. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I don't know, Saul was a 7 though, and I thought the amount Hudson-Odoi was involved, like, I don't know. I think I'd struggle to give him lower.
I thought he was not as involved as I would have liked in the first half. Not down to his fault, mind you. Sorry, I just feel like we attacked more down the left than we should have done. If early in the first half,
I thought he. To be honest, personally, I noticed him a lot more than Saul. But the one thing I noticed about Saul was his aerial ability, like I said. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Yeah, you can give him a 6.5, but I don't know. I really struggle to rate Hasenhüttel when he's at wing back because I thought he was pretty good going forward. It's just the end product today. I thought, the one that hit the side netting, he had a couple. I think one cross which was not great. There was one other shot on his left foot that he took which wasn't great. But again, that's weak foot.
Yeah.
So I mean, when he went to left wing as well, to be fair, which was nice to see, but didn't really do that much. But it was quite late in the game. So yeah, I guess you could do.
Still did more than Ziyech and Barkley, mind you.
Yeah, 100%. That's not hard though.
No, that really isn't.
Like at least Hasenhüttel is a direct winger, whereas the other two just aren't. One's not even a winger, and one's really not even a winger either, to be honest. So I mean, yeah, I would struggle to give him a 6.5. Just I don't know, maybe give him and Saul the same rating. Actually, I think.
Fair. I wouldn't be completely against that, in all honesty. Like I said, I would have gone maybe 0.5 lower, but just to get to Alex's question here, well, I'd probably give Werner a 10 because that would have been his first ever game of right wing back, and then I think he would have done brilliantly, in all honesty.
Yeah.
But, I think that's quite a bad comparison, Alex. I can't lie. But yeah, Clutch, what about you? 7, 6.5, lower, higher? What did you make of Callum? I'm pretty sure you tweeted that. I thought he was doing pretty well, but I wasn't sure whether there was sarcasm in that.
No. I mean, the first 20 minutes, he was one of our best players. I mean, he was taking on people at the top of the right wing side. I mean, he was beating, I think it was, who was it? Walker Peters, I think he was going up against.
Probably.
I think. And he was getting the best of him. He had a couple nice moves. I mean, for me, his first half was a lot better than his second half. I didn't notice him as much when he went over to the left wing, but I'd give him a 7. I thought he was pretty good for being at right wing back today, to be fair.
Hey, democracy it is. So 7 it is. I think that's fair. Yeah, like I said, I think he did a good job as a right wing back. I just would have liked a little bit more going forward. Like there was one specific moment, but probably you guys won't remember that. It's probably one that just randomly stood out to me. It was a lovely ball out to him, and Kai was in the middle in a reasonable position, and Callum decided to not cross it. And I'm like, that was literally the perfect moment for a cross, mate. And then he cut it back and kind of just passed it back to Ziyech, and Ziyech lost the ball. And those kind of moments just frustrated me, but hey, fair news. Shall we get to Alonso? Sorry,
didn't Barkley do that too? I think Barkley did that too, where he got it on the left-hand side, and Havertz was in the middle by himself, and he tried to take it on. I was just wondering if I got those two mixed up. I don't remember. I thought it was Barkley, and I thought that was the moment you were talking about. No, we're good.
Oh, no. It was off the right with Callum. Definitely, there was one off the right. But I do know what you mean with Barkley as well. Getting to Marcos Alonso, right? It was probably one of the most confusing things I've ever seen. Nizar Kinsella, obviously being at the game today, basically said Alonso was amazing. And apparently at halftime, I asked him, send me the link for those stats, didn't reply. So apparently Alonso had the most tackles, interceptions, touches, duels, most duels won, most crosses, 2 key passes, 88.9 pass completion in Southampton's half. But there's 2 options here. Either the stats are wrong or I'm never looking at stats again because I thought it was dreadful. I mean, not as dreadful as Ziyech, but dreadful. It's so much worse than Chilwell. We should have never gotten rid of Emerson. Should have never allowed Alonso to stay over Emerson. Should have never allowed this. I know he was good for 4 games. Great. I want someone who's decent over a season, not good for 4 games and shit for the rest. Alonso triggers me. But people know this, and people know that I prefer Emerson, and people call me crazy for it. But I just do, because one's a good footballer, the other one is not. And Emerson is the good footballer. So, I don't know. I give Alonso a 4. Just because I think it was better than Ziyech. To be honest, I think 3.5 is kind of high for Ziyech. Maybe that's pushing it. But I do think Alonso was still a bit better than Ziyech, but still bad. So I have to go for probably maybe 4.5. Let me see if is the chat killing me. But 6 Alonso 2.5, and now we're talking 4.5, 4.5. Emerson was worse than Alonso. Alex, you have no idea. You think Alonso?
Nah, no way, bro. Emerson
the last time Alonso crossed the ball
I've never understood this. I agree with you, Laurenz. Alonso 8? Alex is saying Alonso 8?
I think he might be trying to round me up. I have no idea.
I've always agreed with you that Emerson was better than Alonso. Alonso scored more goals, but Emerson, just as a footballer, was much better. Like dribbling, pace, overlaps, everything, crossing. I always thought he was better, but he just never ever got game time. And I don't know why. But yeah, and Emerson could even play left centre back as well in cup games. Like, I actually used to quite like Emerson, but he's gone now. Off topic. Alonso today, trash. Thought he was terrible. He lost
like
the
we
ball
say
so
that,
many
obviously.
times, bro. He goes so many fouls away. He got burnt loads
so
of times.
many, man. The guy has no idea how to tackle.
There was one time where he miscontrolled the ball and then like fell over, and then the winger, I think it was like, I don't even know who it was, but he got the ball and then he couldn't catch up to him, so he just slide tackled him and fouled him. And I was just like, for fuck's sake, man, like get better on the ball, like come on. That's the one thing I hate about Alonso is he ruins our attack. He's so like slow and just he's not fluid like Chilwell. I don't know why people like Alonso so much. So annoying.
Yeah, this is literally, by the way, because someone criticized here, Alonso is one of these players that we just hope to fail. Johnny summarized that perfectly. We are desperate for these players to do well. Whether it's Kepa, and now I'm very happy that he's doing a bit better. We'll talk about, the goal we conceded in a minute. But the same goes for Alonso. The same goes for Ziyech. Just because I don't have hope when they play doesn't mean I wouldn't be happy if they proved me wrong. Like at the start of the season, go back to those streams if you want to. I gave Alonso high ratings. I gave Alonso all the credit that he deserved. But we also have to be objective when he doesn't. And yes, as much as he was bad, yes, there was a couple of moments he did good. But we played 90 minutes of football, not 2. So if you have 2 good moments in 90 minutes, it's like, excuse me, good. No, it isn't. No, it's still awful. Sorry, Pies, I interrupted you there. I was a bit rude of myself. What rating would you give Alonso alongside my 4?
Something like that. Maybe a 3.5, to be honest.
Fair enough.
4. I'll go with 4. I'll go with 4 because Ziyech actually really triggered me today, so I'll go with 4.
Okay. I mean, Tuchel said it. Emerson can't be better than Alonso. Conte, Sarri, Lampard, and Tuchel didn't seem to agree with you. Now, Sarri did.
because Emerson was a shit trainer. That's why. That was the whole reason. He was terrible.
He's still a better footballer.
Yeah, but he arrived late. I remember articles about Emerson where he arrived late. He was rubbish in training, so that's why he didn't play much for us. It was nothing about like actual ability. It was like his attitude and all that. I've read so many articles on it.
Exactly. And yes, Alonso contributed more to the team because he played about 100 times more games. Obviously, contributed more. Doesn't mean someone's better or worse. And but I mean, Conte also liked Alonso, and I still think Alonso's awful. Do I have to agree with him? No. Lampard also decided we're going to be the most prone team to counterattacks in history of the world. Does that mean he was right? No. So, what is this logic? And Tuchel, yes, he preferred Alonso. I know, I don't agree with it. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Clutch, what about you? The 4 of Alonso, it stands pretty strong. So unless you go significantly higher or significantly lower, we're probably going to end up with the 4.
I'm not going to go any higher. I'm going to go with 4, I think.
Go on.
And I'm still triggered about him being captain. I know I texted you about that earlier. I'm super triggered about that. I'm super triggered. I mean, I don't understand how a guy who goes and gets on the team bus at halftime because it gets taken off is somehow the Chelsea captain in one of the games later. But he was terrible.
When you say it like that, it is kind of unacceptable.
Reece should have been captain tonight.
Reece, yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Just Alonso is just it's you either get him going forward, or if we're playing against a team that we're pushing forward and they don't get any chance to go forward against us, Alonso's fine. But if he has to play any kind of defense, you might as well just give him a 0 because he can't do it. So I'm going with the 4.
No, he does decent things going forward, but it's just even those people lose their minds. Like he played 2 crosses today. They were all, one of them went out for a throw-in on the other side. Sure, it took a deflection from the Southampton's head, but there was no player even anywhere near it. Like, what does that guy? Honestly, triggers me. And just look at how much better we are when Chilwell plays to Alonso, and look at how average we were as a team overall. To be honest, maybe all our ratings are a bit high, but I still think Southampton deserve a lot of credit, and they were just also good. But we're so much worse with Alonso than we are with Chilwell, and that's just a bit sad, really. A bit sad. Let's get to some praise before we get to criticism. Before we end it, obviously, on praise. Trevor Chalobah, I thought was fantastic today. Absolutely brilliant. Calm at the back, especially being well, not the most experienced, obviously with Reece next to him, but playing, in the middle as the guy that has to, lead in the middle of the back three, had to help out and, clean up and, fix mistakes for Malang Sarr quite a few times and, played a good game. I thought played a good game. For me, Chalobah was my man of the match, in all honesty, because I think he was the only one where I was like, okay, I was happy with pretty much everything you did. Sure, he's a centre-back, so how does that compare to a striker like Kai in this situation? So I would probably give Chalobah an 8. Yeah, that was me. Maybe I'd also give Kepa an 8. We'll get to that. But Chalobah, I'd go 8. I'd go 8 for myself. Clutch, what about yourself?
I completely agree. I'd give him an 8 as well, especially in that last 20 minutes when seemed like we were just not willing to go forward as much and we had to play defense. Chalobah was like one of the main people cleaning up in the back three. Like he was one of the bright spots at the back three. I think he was probably defensively the best of the three.
For sure. No, I agree. I was honestly very happy with him. Very proud of him. Very happy to have him around, honestly. Really, really good. I mean, yeah, I would have liked to have Koundé, but if Koundé came, we would have never had this, Chalobah, and I'm very happy that we have him. The way we do this season. Pice, what about yourself? Do you agree on Chalobah, or what did you make of it?
Yeah, I love Chalobah, man. I think he's a really, really good player. Really, really promising. He could.
Sorry to interrupt you again. One that over the top ball he played to Mason, even though Mason couldn't quite control it. What a ball!
What a talent, man! Like genuinely, we have so many academy players. It's just I can't get my head around this because I'm actually embarrassed of myself that I didn't look into this guy more. It's he's really, really good. Genuinely, his loan at Lorient was apparently really good as well. I don't watch French league, so yeah, fair enough. But he's so solid and dependable, and at such a young age, he's physical as well, man. When you look at him, he doesn't look like a really strong centre back. He's kind of like Rudiger. He's not really imposing.
I think he looks like Tammy, but he doesn't fall over like Tammy.
Yeah, he's just a beast. He really is. He's really aggressive. He's aggressive in the air as well, and he is so good on the ball. So good on the ball, bro. Compare him to Malang Sarr, night and day on the ball. Genuinely, there was so many times today where Chalobah got pressed so hard. Southampton's press was really good today, but he just got out of it brilliantly. He always seems to find the right pass. That's just intelligence as well. Cutting crosses out, genuinely overall brilliant performance. I would agree with you that he would be my man of the match just because he did nothing wrong. He was solid. And I thought our defence was shaky at times, mainly because of Sarr. But, Chalobah himself, played in the middle. Yeah, and Alonso. But, out of the back three, to be in the middle and be, so commanding and just consistent, I think he deserves my man of the match. I would give him an 8, 100%. Yeah, I'm just so happy to have him around, and even if this is the thing, Chalobah, he can play right, middle or left. He's played left for Lorient, so it's we can put him anywhere in that back three.
Did he actually?
Yeah, he played left in Lorient as well. Yeah,
interesting.
So so we can put him anywhere. If we sign Koundé, you could have in a cup game or in any game, you could have I don't know, Chalobah, Christensen, and Koundé. What a back three that is. You know what I mean? So
bit young, but yeah.
I think
yeah, but it's the future. I'm thinking of the future. Genuinely, I'm so excited to have him here. He's looking very good.
And I think my favorite thing is you got Thiago Silva, Rudy, and Christensen that he can learn from right now. And I mean, that's the best of all of our center backs. And Aspie, especially with one-on-one defending. I mean, he can learn from all these guys at such a young age. He's getting all this information. I mean, in the future, he could be one of the best in the planet.
For sure. Just quickly, I want to get to this comment here before we get to Reece James. That's not what I was actually trying to highlight. Where is it? Why we're always on the back foot in most games when we play the final 15 minutes. Now, that only happens when we're only one goal up or drawing, because we are always the favourites, so the opponent has nothing to lose. Like Southampton today. If we score a 2-1 when they throw everything forward, who cares? Southampton, no one's going to criticise Southampton for losing 2-1 to Chelsea. No one in the world will. If we got all out and leave us completely open and we get conceded a late 2-1, the whole, like, all media, all fans will be fuming. And that's why it's always important to kill games off, go 2 or 3 goals up. But, we don't do that, unfortunately, often enough. We did it against Norwich. Yeah, you could say it had something to do with the man sent off, but we was 5-0 up by that point. So I don't think it did quite in that situation. But just quickly wanted to get on that, Daniel, because it also happens to many other teams. Trust me, that happens to many other teams. Hey, as much as Liverpool smacked United a new one the other day, United also had moments in the game where they, should have scored, could have scored, were threatening, and Liverpool but couldn't really handle it. Like, it just happens, no matter how good of a day you get. Reece James, for me, difficult to really say much because he did, as I expect him to do, he did a solid job at right centre-back, but nothing outstanding. No incredible defensive moments, but didn't get mugged off or anything. But it's obviously limited and hampered in what he can bring offensively in that position. And maybe I would have liked to see a bit more control because of how good I think he's on the ball and technically help us, beat the press a little bit more than he did at times, but nothing outrageously bad. I'd probably go along with the 7s that we gave Saul and Callum, to be honest, and I'd probably do the same for Reece. Pice, what about yourself?
Yeah, I agree. I think he was pretty solid. Nothing outrageous, but every time he plays right centre-back, he's really solid, and he's not one of the ones where I look at the lineup. If I see him play right centre-back, I'm content. I don't feel worried. I think he's good on the ball. Obviously, he's very good on the ball. He uses his strength well as well. There's a lot of occasions where, where someone's running down the line and he has to see it out. You can't beat him when he's on the side of you. There's no chance. That's why he's sometimes. Well, we were saying he's a cheat code at right centre back last season because he was doing that so many times. So, yeah, I mean, pretty solid performance. I'd give him a 7 or something. Yeah.
Fair dues. There's a couple of things that I want to mention where we get to maybe talking about the penalty shootout, which we barely mentioned so far. But yeah, 7 for me, Clutch. Do you back that, or do you want to add anything?
I agree. I mean, anytime I see Reece James in the lineup, I'm just always comforted because at 21, he's so dependable and I don't know what would be the word, calm, I guess. I know he's not. Yeah, he's the guy who like Pi said should have been the captain, could have been the guy to focus all the boys up, could have been the guy to just not make the mistake and let the cooler heads prevail. But also, if he needs to, he can jump in and get into a tussle with somebody if he has to. I mean, I love Reece James. 7.
Sorry, I was just reading the chat because I was a bit confused what people are talking about. My bad. Yeah, no, hey, I back it. Well, let's get to my long Sarr, Clutch, and I'll stick with you. Why don't you go first on my long Sarr?
I didn't think he was that good today. I mean, I would give him a 6. He was the guy who passed the ball straight to the defender that ended up leading to the goal. I mean, today he was just. I don't think he was good at all. I think, like I said earlier, when I seen your tweet to Kinsella and you talking about how Alonso was good. I mean, from the very beginning, it was obvious that if Southampton were going to score a goal, it was going to be on that left side because neither Alonso nor Sarr were good enough defensively to stop the 2 guys over there. And that's what ended up happening. He ended up getting caught in a press. He kicked it right to the guy. Alonso's not fast enough to keep him up. Shoots it right at Kepa. Unfortunately, Kepa can't get down fast enough. And then there's the goal. So for me, I'd go with the 6, but that's just purely on, I don't know, I guess nothing, maybe 5.5, maybe.
To be honest, I probably would have gone a tad low. I probably would have gone 5, maybe 5.5. He's weird because there was a couple of tackles where I'm like, that's a good tackle. There's a couple of interceptions that he had. I'm like, good position in there. But then he just has moments obviously for the goal, when he clears it, he doesn't get enough power on it. But he should have just cleared it either for a throw in earlier or just he had enough time to either pass it back to Kepa or just turn and smack it to not the crowded area on the side where Saul was with 3 men on it. I mean, maybe we should mention that with Saul. I do think Saul could have done a bit better with receiving that ball and blocking the defender off, but the guy came from behind him and obviously, he should have awareness, but also someone shout him that's man on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so certainly not as good as it was against Brentford. Not awful, but yeah, I think it was worse than Barkley, I can't lie, so that's why I would have gone 5. just because we gave Barkley a 5.5.
I'm completely okay with that.
But yeah, Pice, what about you? What did you make of good old Malone?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't want to be too harsh on him just because this guy wasn't even supposed to be in our squad, to be honest, this season. Like, he was supposed to be joining like the 18th or 19th place in the Bundesliga.
There is only 18 teams there, so bottom.
Yeah, I think they're bottom. Well, last time I checked, they were bottom.
I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah.
Yeah, like Grother Firth or something like that. I can't even pronounce the name.
It's a difficult name. It's a difficult name to pronounce. I can't lie for English speakers.
I was like, who the hell are those?
It's just the T's in German in that situation. Just even though it's TH, it's just a T. So it's just quite a Firth.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones you like look on Twitter and you see, oh, this guy's got on loan to who, and you're like, what? They're just
9 games in, they have 1 point.
Yeah, so I mean, that just says it all. Like they were just trying to shove him anywhere on the last day or whatever because it collapsed. So yeah, I don't want to be too harsh on him. I mean, he had a decent game against Brentford, but today, as I tweeted, like people always say, rivals like, oh, Tuchel's system covers weaknesses. Anyone can look good, blah, blah, blah. We'll just watch today's game then, because as I said before...
Alonso rarely looks good.
Like, the difference between Chalobah and Sarr is, like, ridiculous. Like, Sarr trying to play at the press was just killing me today. Like, he was out of position quite a bit as well, and I was just like, it just doesn't look right in the back three. Like, I don't know, man.
You could just see that guy's not really played in a team that tries to beat a press much. That's what he looked like when he played.
Yeah, like I kind of referenced him similar to Zuma. I thought it was similar to Zuma, where it just looks awkward on the ball. Like, I don't know, like when he gets pressured, and Southampton's press was high today. I was just like, I was a bit uncomfortable, and he looked uncomfortable. Like there was oh my god, there was one situation towards the end of the game as well. We was trying to score, and he had the ball on the left, and he like dribbled out, and there was I think it was Kovacic or so. In the middle three, they were like shouting it and pointing, like, play the ball here, play the ball here. He took 4 seconds, dribbled up the pitch, then turned back and passed it back to Kepa. Mate, I was livid. Things like that really annoy me when we're trying to get a goal. It's just so annoying. I'm just like, where's your awareness, man? Like, come on, go. Like, you know what I mean? If that's Rudiger, like, Rudiger's off. Like, you know what I mean? Or Rudiger's playing that ball first time. And it's just little things like that, like, fluidity, like I said with Alonso, fluidity is not right. So I think I'll give him a 5, to be honest. I don't want to be too harsh, but there's holes and gaps in his game. But
5 is not like completely shocking.
Yeah, it wasn't completely shocking, but there's holes. Like if he starts, I'm like, oh god, like I don't know what's going to happen today. You know what I mean? Like, so
now, to be honest, like you say that after the Brentford game, I was like, yeah, he fully deserves to get another game after that. I thought it was pretty decent.
Maybe a cup game,
like moments against Brentford. Go on.
Yeah, like maybe a cup game. Like I wasn't shouting and screaming, don't play Sarr today, but I don't want to see him in the Premier League, like for sure. Like play Chalobah left centre back, like at least try that. And I know Tuchel's trying to use the squad. Yeah. Just use anyone. Like I don't know. I don't trust him as much as other defenders. I'd rather even like you said, I'd rather put Aspi left centre back. Like I get Tuchel's trying to use the squad, but I don't know, man. I'm not comfortable with him. There's something off about him.
I will give him praise. He had a shot like towards the end of the game that was actually a really good shot. But
he did. To be fair.
It was kind of insane that he even got that close. But that's about the only praise I got for him today.
No, I did think there was a couple of good tackles, but let's get to Kepa. A weird one today because there was one very good save he made in the first half, which took a minor deflection after Alonso and Sarr kind of mucked it up together. Like Alonso in the end shoving Sarr in the end shoving that guy over, but just because Alonso literally had his feet concrete attached to the floor, that's how stiff he was with how that guy skipped past him. But I mean. And Kepa obviously saved that. I tweeted, oh, Kepa. And I said, oh, Kepa. And that was my initial reaction. When I saw it back, it's a low shot from close distance. And it hits the underside of his thigh and goes through under him. Like, is that just getting unlucky? Or is that should have done better? Because obviously he has to spread himself as much as he possibly can. Before, like, he can't react to where the shot goes. It's not like a long distance shot where you see the ball go in that corner, you try and get there. It's like he just tries to spread himself as much as he can, and the guy managed to keep the ball low enough that it hits the underside of his thigh and bounces through for Che Adams to poke it in from like half a yard out. So I'm not sure how, like thinking about it since then, how much, like, yes, he should have done better, but I'm not sure it's enough for me to call it a mistake, in all honesty. I think because if that happens to Mendy, no one even says much, but because it's Kepa and with the history he has, people call it a mistake, I think. But the penalty save was great. I think he got a fingertip on it. That's a great save. Even if that was the only one he saved on the night, obviously, the bald kid put it over, thankfully. But there was some good saves late on. The one he tipped over the bar, the one, from the header that was close range. There was some really, really strong saves there from Kepa. I know I gave Chalobah the man of the match, but because I don't consider it a mistake, I would also give Kepa an 8. Because I think it's more unlucky where he could have done better than it is a full mistake. So I would go 8, but I would understand if people class it as a mistake and therefore would go lower. But let me go back to you, Pice, because, why not? What did you make of him?
It's a hard one. I'm actually going to try and find the so-called mistake again, because when I watched it on the stream, I was like, oh god, we are so screwed without Mendy in the AFCON. I was like, Kepa's back.
To be honest, I said that too.
And I somewhat to extent, I'm very uncomfortable about Mendy being gone for such a long time, especially because I think Senegal are going to win the AFCON. They are pretty much the strongest team in my opinion. So, I'm a bit worried.
Well, Egypt, but yeah.
No, Egypt won't win. Egypt won't win. They only got Salah. It's all good. But
they're still usually good, I swear. I don't know. Maybe not.
I think obviously Ghana, Nigeria, there's a few decent teams, but I think Senegal will go far. But anyway, Kepa, I'll try and find the mistake and then come back to you if it was a mistake, because I want to re-watch it.
Fair dues. Let me go to Clutch. You can watch that just quickly. Tuchel spoke to the Fifth Stand app and said Azpilicueta has a chance to face Newcastle. Christensen will be back in training on Thursday. Obviously, he had small surgery on his teeth after a collision in training. He said Loftus-Cheek actually has pain in his hip, in the joint. Didn't give an indication how long he will be out for. Maybe it was actually, when he assisted the goal for Mason and fell over the goalkeeper, maybe he actually just landed uncomfortably and hurt his hip a bit. Could be that. Because they said it happened against Norwich. So when else could it have happened? Although I find the reports, didn't some people say earlier thigh? It's a hip. But anyways, we move on. Clutch, while we let Pice try to look at that, whether he thinks it's a mistake or not, let me go to you. What did you make of Kepa? Did you think it was a mistake? Did you think it was more unlucky? What do you reckon?
I want to start with, I think Mendy is the best goalie for Chelsea going forward completely. But the thing is, the mistakes that we've seen under Lampard, that Lampard tried to correct, that Kepa did, and he couldn't do it. Tuchel has come in and completely changed Kepa's world, whether that be that Kepa now has more faith in the line in front of him, or more faith, or is just has more confidence after sitting out. Whatever it is, I think Kepa's been a lot better. I don't blame him for that mistake. I mean, that's a really. I mean, if he saves that, we're sitting here saying save it, one of the saves of the season, not the save because that was Mendy with that bicycle kick, but Kepa did what he could do in that moment. Yes, it went through him. Yes, it's unfortunate. That's one of the hardest shots to save for a goalie, in my opinion. I don't blame him. I go with an 8 as well. It's because, Kepa in a penalty shootout is untouchable at this point for whatever reason. But I have faith for Kepa, because the Kepa that I used to see, does he have a mistake in him? Sure he does. But we've seen the 4 or 5 mistakes that he usually commits a game, maybe down to 1 these days. So, I'd give him an 8. I think he did really well today.
Fair. Pipe, have you managed to have a look so far?
Yeah, it was a bit unlucky, I can't lie.
Do you see what I mean by I say it hit the underside of his thigh and then bounces under him?
I'm rewatching the replay 10 times. I'm freeze framing it as well. He does the right thing by saving it with that leg. I think his position's quite good. It's just, I think the shot's so powerful that it's just gone
Keepers are mental. Do you know what I mean? Think about this for a moment, right? Someone's in front of you gonna smack a ball as hard as they can, and what do? Spread your legs as much as you can. Do you know how much that can go wrong?
And you don't cover your face.
You know Goalkeepers are
mental.
What?
It looks really bad when you just watch it, not on a replay. But when you watch the replay, you realise he has whacked that ball so hard. So that can happen where it goes through your legs. And I mean, it's quite unfortunate as well that the striker was there for a tap-in. So, I don't necessarily feel as bad towards him now that I've rewatched it. But I don't know. I don't know what rating I want to give him, because at the end, those saves from the corners were really good. Like, and I think Kepa might have even like fumbled one of those before. Like, do you remember the Newcastle one where Isaac Hayden scored like the 95th minute, and he palmed it into his own net? And I was like, oh my god! Like, he never used to save shots that used to like go directly at him from set pieces. Like, always used to do something wrong, like fumble them, or sometimes didn't even used to bloody dive. So I mean, fair play. I'm always wary of saying Kepa's improving, because Kepa is Kepa. Like, he can do something atrocious in, I don't think
it's improving. It's just he's making less mistakes and he's as good as he is.
Yeah.
He's not as good as Mendy, but he's still a good goalkeeper.
Like he's at least 3 tiers down from Mendy, like, at least. But yeah, I mean,
that depends on what you define these tiers as. But fair enough.
Well, just everything, everything. In my opinion, I think Mendy's the best in the world. But I don't feel as bad towards him now I've rewatched it. So
would you go along with that 8, or where would you go?
I mean, to be fair, I'd have to give him at least an 8, because Havertz 7.5, but Kepa also saved the penalty and saved us at the end. So I think
Kepa
at least
8.5. But shall we push Chalobah to an 8.5 as well? Then does Kepa get it on his own?
No, Kepa can't be higher than Chalobah for me. No way.
We give both an 8.5. Why not? I don't disagree, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I think Chalobah was stand-up man of the match. I can't lie.
So you want to give Chalobah an 8.5 and keep Kepa at an 8?
Yeah. That's what I would do.
All right.
Maybe I'm a bit hard.
I see, Chalobah made no mistakes, but Kepa won us the game more than Chalobah did, I think, with the penalty, obviously, and obviously the saves at the end. So I think giving both an 8.5 is fine too. Clutch, what about yourself?
I would prefer Kepa at an 8 than an 8.5, but I also can see what you're saying.
Shut down. I see what you're doing.
Laurenz in the mud. Love to see it.
Laurenz in the mud. I see what you're doing. All right, got a cheeky 0.5 out of me for Chalobah there, and all of a sudden Kepa's down to an 8. But fair dues. Hey, fair dues. Let's get through the subs, because I do want to wrap this up. But ladies and gentlemen, by the way, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. Smash that like button for me. Doesn't cost you any money. Barely cost you any time. Literally one click of a button, and it really helps me out a lot. Who was the subs? Mason Mount came on for Hakim Ziyech. Well, Chile officially came on for Barkley, but obviously then played over here, which was weird. And what was the last subs we made? I don't remember.
Those were the only 2.
Or did we only make 2?
Yeah, we only made 2. Because Harvey Vale and Jorginho were warming up, but they never came on.
There you go. My internet must have been poor for a minute because I didn't hear any of you guys. But yeah, no, it was just those 2. Before we talk about the penalties, let's quickly get it out of the way. I will say 2 things about Mason Mount. He's not great as a sub. I've noticed this now. Whenever he comes on a sub, I don't really see when he came on in the cup against Villa at halftime, that was decent. But when he comes on throughout a second half, it was Brentford, it was today, he doesn't really have that much of an impact. And I'm not going to say he's like Willian, because obviously he's better than Willian overall. But Willian also had this thing. Willian could be good from the start, but if you subbed him on, you knew full well Willian was always going to be poor. And that's what always going to be poor is a bit harsh with Mason, but I don't think he manages to have the same impact when he comes off the bench than when he starts. And that's him off penalties for a while now, because he has 3 awful penalties in a row. I know he scored the second one against Norwich, but I was lucky. He's basically missed 2 in a row. If it wasn't for that, obviously the VAR letting him take one again for Norwich. So that's enough for penalties for now for Mr. Mason Mount. But yeah, what you give him? It wasn't like bad, but give him a 6. Don't know. Not much to add, really, in all honesty. Clutch.
I was in between a 5 and a 6. I thought he was really poor when he came on, to be fair. And that's me saying that. I mean, I love Mason Mount, really, but today it seemed like he was not up to it, and that penalty was actually really bad. I mean, I guess I don't know why Kai wasn't taking a penalty today either. I was really dumbfounded about that. Too, yeah. But I since I like Mount, I'm going to give him a 6.
Oh, well, hey, I can do 5.5 or 5. 5 is maybe a bit harsh, but 5.5 I can certainly do. You know what? Let's see what Pice says, and then we can see where we are at the end. Pice, Mason Mount today?
5 easily. Nowhere near a 6 for me. Thought he was really poor by his standards. The one ball as well was dreadful when Hasenhüttel was in. Like, what was that, bro? Like, come on. Mount is way better than that. And I actually,
wasn't it Havertz on the other side?
I don't know. It was someone. I thought it was Hudson-Odoi. It may have been Kai. I don't know. I just thought it was Hudson-Odoi because it was on the left. I can't remember, to be honest. But
do you really think it was worse than Barkley now? Maybe.
Off the bench, I mean, for sure. It didn't.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't disagree. Give him the 5. Why don't we?
This is the thing, like with Mount, he's usually. I kind of disagree with you, Laurenz. I usually think he's really good off the bench, but today I thought he was terrible.
Well, he was. We didn't even notice him against Brentford when he came off the bench. So that's at least 2 where he was poor from the bench, I guess. But maybe it's just recency bias, and he was. But there's other games that I can't think of now where he was good.
I just don't get why he tries to smash the penalties as well. Like he had a perfect one against. Funny enough, Southampton away, where he just slotted it in away, and I'm just like, why does he smash him? He did the same against Spurs.
He doesn't even smash them hard enough. Like he kind of smashes them, but not properly.
I don't know. He just tries to hit them so high. Like, me personally, I mean, personal story. I used to take penalties in the Sunday League. I was a bit of a baller at penalties. so I scored 12 penalties in one season. I always used to go low. So I don't know why people smash them so hard. I don't get it. That's just a personal pet peeve.
Because most people go low, hence goalies try to go for the low corner. Hence why if you go high enough, it makes it more difficult to save.
I think most people
difficult to be.
Yeah, but Force is like 7 foot. Like, why just put it low? He's not going to get down. Like, I don't get it.
I think most people try to put it into the top right or left corner, but they don't ever hit it correctly. So it just kind of goes a little bit to the left or the right. So
the good penalty takers go bottom corner. I can't lie. Because they're so confident themselves that they put it far enough in the corner that they can go low.
Bro, but do you remember Hazard? Hazard never hit one top corner, I don't think.
Yeah, but Hazard did the Jorginho style way, waiting for the goalie to move, so that's different.
That's what. No, but I like those style of penalties, like when they just roll it, like what Reece did. I think you're more chance to score, to be honest.
I agree. I mean, the Brexiteers won't agree. I mean, I remember last season when Werner took 2 penalties, and everyone was telling me now Jorginho can never take a penalty again. I'm like, bruv. Timo Werner is pure luck whether he scores a penalty or not. Next penalty he takes misses. No, have some, and that's why I agree with you there. Like in general, Mason can do this, like place it properly, and you can place it and smack it if you want to, but you have to place it first and foremost. Whether you then decide to put power on it or not, I don't really care. But just place it properly. And 3 penalties in a row, didn't place it whatsoever. So I wasn't pleased with that. Ben Chilwell, now, he played a right wing back, which is outrageously difficult for a predominantly left-footed player to do. It was probably the first ever time.
2 goals on crack, bro. Right wing back. 2 goals on a mad one. When I saw that, I was like, what?
When he came on for Barkley, I was so confused.
Bro, I was like, what is this?
Because it would have even made more sense to put Alonso in the front 3 and play Chilwell left wing back.
I was just so confused. Like, I thought even put Chilwell in the front 3. Like,
that's what I thought was going to happen.
It was weird.
Yeah,
that was a weird
Chilwell was
thing.
better defensively, so just get Alonso out of the way.
Maybe with Chilwell, I was like, all right, I can play here, and then he just put him on. I don't know.
He did okay.
Yeah, he did all right, actually, to be fair.
Did all right. Shall we give him a 6? How about that?
Definitely, at least. Definitely. Good penalty as well.
Can do 6.5. Would you go 6.5?
Maybe, for the penalty. I'm not sure whether you want to add points.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, good thing we gave Alonso a 4 because he got the penalty. Otherwise, could have gone lower. Because his, Alonso's and Chilwell's penalties were absolutely fantastic. Like, side it in, rattled it, nothing you can do about any of those. So, fair play. Yeah, let's give him 6.5. Do you agree, Clutch?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that penalty that's how you hit a penalty, or that's how you hit one hard and into the side net. Like, there's just no saving that. I don't care how tall you are.
Exactly that. I would probably agree. Let's quickly get to a rating for Mr. Thomas Tuchel. Just quickly, did you also, like Clutch mentioned it there, Kai Havertz was the penalty taker for Bayer Leverkusen. and never takes penalties, even in penalty shootouts. I find that strange. Like, obviously, Timo didn't take one in the last round, but he picked up a knock during the game. That's why I didn't. And so maybe Kai picked up a knock, and that's why I didn't. Obviously, I wouldn't know then. But if he was fine, I don't like why. Obviously, I'm not saying our penalty takers were all outrageous, but who was it? It was Alonso. Callum's penalty, by the way, outrageously good. The fact that Forster had the corner, he had like one step run up and he put it so far in the corner with enough power that as someone as big as Forster doesn't get it, it's strong pen. So, and Alonso and Chilwell's were great. And obviously, I can still understand why you'd give Mason it. So I get it maybe, but you'd still think that Havertz, I don't know, would just take a pen.
I think Havertz would take one over Alonso, to be fair.
Say again?
I said, you would think that he would take one over Alonso, to be fair.
Would you? Considering Alonso takes all the free kicks when he plays?
Yeah, but, I mean, Chile used to take penalties for Leicester.
Really?
Yeah, he did at some points, yeah. And Reece does his penalties. He did it last time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can see why Alonso does it, but like at the same time, I would probably prefer Kai to take one. But it all worked out in the end, so hey.
Exactly. Let's get to a rating for Thomas Tuchel. I'll go last. Why don't I? Let me go with you first, Clutch. What would you do for Big TT today?
It's a weird one, right? Because it's like I want to be somewhere like in an 8 range. Because I mean, for the personnel that we had.
Oh yeah, sorry, Kai missed in the Super Cup. I forgot about that.
Oh really? I don't remember that. But yeah, I mean, for the personnel we had, it's just it really worries me when we don't make more substitutions. But at the same time, I guess
we had 5 available today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we only made 2, and I really don't. Even if it's like Jorginho at the last 5 minutes of the game, he can take a penalty. I mean, you're going to penalties probably. Control maybe. I don't know.
Bring him on for some extra stability at the end. Why not?
Yeah, and I mean, part of me was really kind of wanting to see Harvey Vale too, or Harvey, yeah. But
he would have played, I reckon, had we been in the lead by 1 or 2 goals. But
yeah, but I mean, I can't really fault him. I'd go with probably an 8 or an 8.5. Can't really fault him for not putting people on because I think at one point he just went for the penalties and knew we were going to beat him in penalties.
Yeah, I mean, the one criticism I would have is he didn't sub Alonso off, so that's always a negative. I'm taking a piss at this point, but yeah, I probably agree. I'd probably go 8. I know Pies would probably say, "So what did he do wrong? Why don't you give him a 10?" And I get what you're saying with that, but it's just like, okay, we can't give him a 10 just because we win every game. Because by that logic, every time we win, the manager did everything right. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'd probably agree on an 8. He was obviously somewhat hampered today with 4 new injuries from training yesterday or the Norwich game with Ruben. And obviously having Pulisic, Lukaku and Werner, we had a lot of injuries for this game. We had like 7 players unavailable. So there wasn't really much you can criticize about the lineup as such. And then, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 more subs would have been nice. But, yeah, so I'd go 8. Why not? But then at the same time, I mean, we drew essentially. If this was a league game and we drew 1-1, would we be giving Tuchel an 8? Probably not. So,
well, we wouldn't have played this team, so we would have won.
That's true. But let's say it's not okay. Let's say it's not a league game, but let's say, for example, it's like an FA Cup, old school, and we go to a replay now because we didn't win. We would have still played that team. Maybe we would have made more subs. Fair enough, but still.
Wouldn't really care, to be honest, if we had a replay.
What? The replay, I'd rather go out than have a replay.
Really?
Yeah, that means another game. We already played like 70-odd games this season.
Yeah, I know, but it would be fit in, so I don't know. As long as we don't lose, I don't really
probably
care.
Have a situation where we play Saturday, Monday, Wednesday or something, like Liverpool had one time.
I guess.
Can we also talk about how Rom, Timo, and Pulley and Kante were all in the huddle for the pens too? That was pretty cool.
Were they?
Yep. They're all in there.
Was Mendy there too? Because Mendy posted, I saw his Insta story and he was like in the family section area, like behind the glass thing. So did he come out too or did he stay there?
I didn't. I seen somebody on Twitter say those 4 names specifically, but I don't remember.
He probably stayed there. It would have probably been long to come out of there. But just quickly, let me go back to Pice. What rating would you give Tuchel then?
I mean, to be fair, I kind of somewhat agree with you on an 8. I think the Jorginho point is very good and actually made me rethink one of the journalists said that he was coming on because it was like Jorginho, Tuchel wants more control. He's been sent out to warm up. I can't remember who it was, but I don't know why he didn't come on because thinking of penalties as well, that's a bit strange. So yeah, I guess that's the one thing I could knock him for, but I don't know. Apart from that, it was all right. I mean, the personnel, who else is he going to pick? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that is fair. The only thing was, is it Jorginho or Kovacic to place with Sol? That's really the only question. The rest was kind of forced upon him unless he wanted to start Chile, Mount, etc. again, which is fair enough to give them a rest. Like I said, because we drew actually, which I didn't really think of, I probably would actually go 7, but hey, you guys go in 8. I'll give you the 8. Why not? Because it's not the be-all and end-all of anything, let's be honest. So Seoul defense in midfield was poor. Poor, yeah? Okay. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but I hear you. Clutch, do you think this is the end of Ziyech with Chelsea and Tuchel? Apparently, you've been asked directly, Mr. Clutch, so let us know.
I don't know. I mean, because that's weird, because in January, right, we can't just go and give up Ziyech if we don't have options behind him. I mean, we're already in a gigantic pickle as it is, and that's why we have to play him even in bad form right now. So, I mean, if Pulisic puts it another... Well, yeah, I mean, but we're still having to use him when he needs probably some time away. I don't know. But, I mean, I would probably say we're not going to get rid of him in January, but unless we pick up
unless we sign someone, I guess.
Yeah. But next summer, I do think he will probably be making way. I mean, one of our, either Pulisic, Ziyech, maybe Timo. I think one of those 3, maybe 2 of those 3 will probably be gone next summer, but I don't know. I mean, it all depends on, this season's really important for all 3 of them.
And it also depends on how many defender contracts do we extend, because, you know, if we don't, then obviously we're going to be very focused on signing a centre-back, if not 2. So then who knows whether we'll sign a winger, maybe only get rid of Ziyech, you know, and keep Timo and Pulisic for another season. But yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, for me, yeah. I mean, whenever he gets the chance, he has the chance to, you know, change things around. But whenever he's been given a chance this season, since the Super Cup, and yes, I know it's unfortunate that, you know, he was on amazing form, was basically the first name on the team sheet and on of the offensive areas, at least at the time, picks up an injury and his form is just so far gone. But like, no one other than him can change that form. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's only, like, yeah, some of it is just sometimes bad form is bad form, but just, you can't be on bad form for being here for 2 seasons or 1.5 seasons and being in bad form for all of that but a month. Do you know what I mean? Like, at some point you need, injuries ruin it for sure, but when Pulisic is injured, but when he comes back, he's still somewhat useful. Like, yeah, he scored against, but do you know what I mean? As much as he isn't as great as he can be, like as he was on the Project Restart, Pulisic always, when he comes back, still more useful than Ziyech has been in the last 2 months, I will say. But
Pulisic at least has like an eye for goal. Like, if anybody, like you always say, if anybody's going to make the back post run, it's going to be him every time. So he's going to be the one guy who's going to get into the dangerous areas. But Ziyech is like, if he's not taking shots from distance and having that space to shoot, like, it's just like he doesn't play the balls over the top anymore. And I guess another thing is, if we change formations, there might be a little bit more to say for these players. They might stay, but yeah, you never know. I mean, I don't know what's in Tuchel's head. I don't know what's in these defenders' minds if we're contract situations. I don't know. Like, I would say probably Ziyech is probably the first name outside the door, unless Pulisic gets hurt again. Then he'll be first. But you never know.
Probably. Hey, I probably agree. But hey, it is what it is. We're done, you know, for our midweek game. We actually played on a Tuesday for once. I nearly forgot, by the way. Not today, but I forgot yesterday that we played today, if that makes sense. But now, next game Saturday, Newcastle at 3 o'clock, kickoff. So, you know, we move. You know, let's keep things going. Hey, now that the Carabao Cup won't ruin our chances of winning the League Cup, hey, go for the trophy. Why not? Quarterfinals now, 4 more games left. Is the semi-final still 2 legs there? Is that sort of thing?
I have no idea. I'm going to be honest. I don't pay attention to the Carabao Cup that much.
Post, you know, is the semi-final still 2 legs?
I'll have to have a look.
I feel like it was last year, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. But hey, why not go for it? Why not go for it? A trophy's a trophy. And having learned from the season under Jose, picking up that trophy in March can never be a bad thing for the run-in at the end of the season. So if we can, quarter-final draw, live on Sky Sports, main event football, YouTube, 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. 10:30 a.m. they do the quarterfinal. Why don't they do it tomorrow after the other games? But fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, as I always do. Of course, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe because it does mean a lot. So, help me get eventually to 15,000 subscribers. Every single new subscriber counts. So get subscribed. Smash the like button for me if you haven't already. And not having a Google account is not an excuse. Get a Google account, subscribe, and smash the like button at least next time. If you're watching this, once this has turned into a video, big up to yourself because we're now in 37 minutes in. So, big up. Again, smash the like button if you haven't already and leave me a comment. Why not? Add a comment about anything. So just do that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, up to the Wizards, and we'll see you next time.